He's longing to be clean. And in verse 8 it says, let me hear joy and gladness. Let the bones you have crushed rejoice. Hide your face from my sins and blot out my transgressions. Let me hear joy and gladness. For a whole year, David had no joy. For a whole year, he wasn't glad in the things of God because the weight of his sin had dragged him down. You see, he got caught out. He got caught out. And verse 9 says, hide your face from me. Hide your face from me. What he's simply saying, Lord, don't look. Don't look at my sin. Don't hide your face from it. The shame and the guilt of where I find myself. You are holy and you are pure and you are perfect in all your ways. And here's my sin. Hide your face from it. Don't look. And he's longing for joy and he's longing for gladness. He's longing for God to restore him. And it comes to the point in the Psalm in verse 10 where not only does he take responsibility for his own transgressions, he takes responsibility for his sin and his iniquity. He openly tells God that he was defiant, he lived in open rebellion. He shares the information with God that he wants to be clean, he wants to be made holy, he wants to feel joy, he wants to feel gladness again. In verse 10, this is when he gets into the nitty-gritty, because it's an invite. This is where he allows God's access into his life. This is where he invites God to come and do some serious business in his heart. And maybe for some of us here today, maybe we need to allow God access into them places where he's not allowed. And in verse 10 it says, create in me a pure heart, O God. Renew a steadfast spirit within me. Create in me a new heart, O God. And that would be my plea this morning for Monaghan and Elam, the plea for you sitting in the pews, and maybe for the plea for those sitting at home listening to this message, that our cry would be, create in me a new heart. Joel chapter 2 and verse 13 tells us that God is gracious and that he is compassionate, slow in anger, and abiding in love. Micah 7:18 says, who is a God like you who pardons sins and forgives the transgressions? And the latter part of the verse says, you do not stay angry forever, but delight to show mercy. And this morning, church, I want to encourage you, just like King David, you mightn't have put anybody to death. You mightn't have committed adultery. But maybe you're aware that maybe you're not in the place where you ought to be. And I want to encourage you, just like King David, to appeal to the mercy of God, appeal to his compassionate heart, that he is slow to anger. You know, sometimes in church we have this idea that God is standing in heaven somewhere and he is so angry all the time. He's so angry and so disappointed with us. Where in reality, he is compassionate. He is slow to anger. He is loving. He is caring. And when we feel self-condemned, remember that the enemy always wants to put this doubt in our head. God doesn't love you anymore. God doesn't care because you've stepped outside his plans, because you've made a mistake. We need to remember that the God that we see in the Bible delights in mercy. He delights in mercy, that he loves us with an everlasting love.